You've probably heard the phrase, a day is a long time in politics. We're going to show you two pictures now that show a hectic 24 hours for the Home Secretary. This was Suella Braverman on her way to the House of Commons, where she told MPs yesterday she was tackling what she called a migrant invasion on the south coast of England, a word that has sparked considerable anger. Let's look at today, though. This is the Home Secretary now striding confidently into Downing Street for a cabinet meeting this morning, despite a minister in her own department warning against demonising those coming across the channel in small boats and saying just how important language is. At the centre of all of this discussion is Dover, the people arriving there and those living there. Julian Drucker is there for us now. Julian, good to talk to you. And it's not just the words of the Home Secretary that are coming under real scrutiny tonight.
Hi there, Dan. Yeah, the Home Office has been condemned today for overcrowding at that migrant centre not that far from here. Now, the weather has probably eased things there a bit today. It has been so stormy that fewer people have made that perilous journey across the channel, but it's the description of those people by the Home Secretary that has dominated the issue of migration today.
We don't know exactly how many migrants are currently inside the Manston processing centre, but on the outside it looks busy and sometimes crowded. Today the Home Office was told, get a grip. An independent report highlighted some detainees had to sleep on the floor, others couldn't shut toilet doors properly. But controversy is continuing over how the Home Secretary described those who arrive in the UK via small boats.
The British people deserve to know which party is serious about stopping the invasion on our southern coast and which party is not.
We played the Home Secretary's comments to Khalil. He fled Syria and arrived in the UK via a small boat 2 years ago.
When I watch it, it's really sad and heartbreaking to hear like an official governmental officer or secretary saying that we are here to invade. It's like shame, or it's kind of shame to compare us to the Russian soldiers that they are invading Ukraine.
So what's in a word? Today the Immigration Minister stressed politicians should be careful with language on this issue. He then defended what Ms Braverman had said.
I think that the Home Secretary was speaking for millions of people across the country. That is a phrase that many people would use who are extremely concerned to see tens of thousands of migrants crossing the channel, a very significant proportion of which are economic migrants.
Opposition MPs have said the I word whips up hate and spreads division. In Dover itself, only some were in support of its use.
I think it's the right word. Yeah, I agree with what you said.
You live here in this town? I mean,
You're close by, yeah.
Well, what is it like?
Yeah. It's getting bad. It's getting quite bad. Yeah.
And you feel like you're being invaded, basically?
Pretty much, yeah. This past year it's getting quite bad, yeah.
It's probably offensive to a lot of people saying invasion. When you're talking invasion, you're looking at sort of, the German army coming in and sort of wanting to annihilate us, so to speak, or take over. But no, I don't think invasion is quite the right word.
Coming over, I think if they're in that bad a situation, why not let them?
So the word invasion is wrong, yeah?
Oh God, yeah, definitely, yeah.
Whether or not the people inside know how they've been described, officials plan to move more than 2,000 of them from here in the next fortnight. Julian Drucker, 5 News, Manston in Kent.
Fascinated to hear from those people in Dover. And as you heard there, Suella Braverman said yesterday that the south coast of England was facing an invasion of migrants. It is such a loaded word. We thought we'd get the dictionary out tonight. We'll have a couple of these on the show. So here's the word for you. Invasion, foreign army enters by force. That's one dictionary definition, but it can also mean this. I'll leave it up there for a while because I know it can take a while to read it. The arrival of a large number of people or things, emphasising they are unpleasant or difficult to deal with. You can see, given that, why it sparked a fair bit of anger. But let's also take a look at the figures and how the number of migrants coming here compares to our European counterparts. The best way to do that is by looking at the number of asylum seekers. That's people who come to the UK fleeing persecution who want to settle here. Between June of last year and this year, 2022 of course, just over 68,000 applications were made here in the UK. What about our neighbours? Well, last year Germany had the highest number of people making asylum applications, around 134,000. And France, who've got the same population size as us, had nearly 120,000 applications. So basically, both France and Germany had around double the number of asylum seekers that we had here last year. Let's go back to Julian in Dover with those figures. And Julian, you can see, given those numbers, why the Home Secretary has caused quite a stir with the word that she chose to use.
There is flack, and the Shadow Home Secretary said such comments actually ramp up the rhetoric. Yvette Cooper says what Ms Braverman said was irresponsible given what happened on Sunday. Now, she's referring to the petrol bomb attack on a migration centre just a few metres away from where I'm standing. And there has been this development this afternoon with counter-terrorism policing taking over the investigation. But they're stressing they're not treating it as a terrorist incident. That could change, they've said, but they said it may not necessarily meet the threshold of terrorism, or rather academic you might say, given that they've gone as far to say that it was likely to be driven by some form of hate-filled grievance. The suspect died shortly afterwards, his body found in a car nearby. He has been identified in the last few hours as 66-year-old Andrew Leake from High Wycombe. The police have acknowledged that people in this area will be worried, but they've said that there is no wider threat.